Hello, I'm sorry it took me so long to get this video out to you. Uh, I have a lot of excuses, but I'm not gonna give them. I'm just gonna say I was late, and I'm gonna try to really work on my scheduling, and that's probably one of the most important things that I need to be doing as far as my professional development. But hello, my name is Vivien Levias, and I am so happy to be in this class. I am very excited to get to this point in our education process. You said to introduce yourself. Mm, um, I'm trying to look at this and read it. I should have printed it out. But the introduce yourself to me, and I know all the classmates. I do. Um, I am currently working with the City of Oakland Head Start, which, the union is my union. We share a union, and that's how I found out about the program. So I am incredibly excited about that. Um, and I'm an ECI, which is an early childhood instructor or a teacher. I'm on the floor working with the children every day, and this has been quite an experience. I've been working with children. I started out at Chabot College in 1999, and I finished about 27 to 28 ECE units by 1995, and I had started working out in the field, and then shortly after that, I went into family daycare. And after family daycare, I did that from 1995 to about 2003. And in 2003, I migrated over to Alameda Head Start. And after Alameda, I went to Berkeley for a few minutes, for about 6 months. And then during that time, I got the call from the city of Oakland. And when I went to visit the site and meet the director there. It just ended up being a good fit, and I've been there since 2003, ever since. So that's my story. When they talk about the career goals, when we made the announcement that we're going to be finishing this BA program, it was a little bit. I was a little bit, I guess remiss, because people are saying, well, what is your goal now? Well, what do you want to do next? And I'm like, well, this really, really, really was my goal since 1987 to finish my BA, and now at this point, I am a little bit looking forward to being able to go over to the master's program. So I'm looking into it. So, out of the NAYEC, promoting child development and learning should be every teacher's number one. I think that once we having this new research about the brain and all of the new innovations that has come out in educating young children, and everybody kind of getting on one accord across the board has really been, I think, a great asset for the learning of young children. Everybody kind of understanding that there is a framework and that there are foundations, and when you look at a couple of different curriculums, you can see that the same foundations, reading every day with the child, having a literacy rich environment, having a daily schedule, and keeping routines, and even at the end, having the studies each week, and where your classroom should reflect the studies and tell your story about what you're talking about in your lesson plan, and making those connections. Those are very important. That's very important to me, and I love those innovative things that they're doing. And I like, even when I'm talking to parents now, I know that I have that framework, and I can say, well, children that are this age usually are able to sit down at circle time for this time to that time, and this is the research that they found, and this is what we try to implement, and this is what we're trying to achieve with your child. And then having that key word, school readiness, has really changed a lot. So then, of course, my next one is building family and community relationships. really this job that we're doing is not it's not a job. It's not a something you could just say is just something you're doing in passing. This is a career choice, and this is a way of life. And you have to have a love for people, not just children, not just being up at a school, not just being out in the summertime. You have to have a love for people to be able to do this kind of work, because it is a thankless job. I mean, from understanding what's happening at the business level of the job, understanding how to keep all the rules and regulations straight, understanding developmentally appropriate practices, and then underlying all of that, you still need to be able to connect to the children. You still have to like children. After all this understanding, you have to have your biggest understanding has to be the understanding of loving people, the children, the family, and the community that you're working in. And I am one of the people. I am very blessed to say that the community that I'm working in right now is on the actual site is on 55th, and I grew up on 59. So this is my neighborhood. I can walk to my mom and dad's house from this place. My aunt's beauty shop is right there. That's where the store where the kids go and buy donuts. That's where I used to go and buy donuts at their age. And so I have a connection to the neighborhood. I have a connection to the schools, to the area, to the even the bus. That was my bus. I went to the schools. This is my neighborhood, and to see the demographic has changed quite a bit, but that that's the connection. So when you have that kind of connection and you have that kind of love for where you are and what you're doing, it does show, and it has been the one key thing that has affected my relationships with the family. A lot of the family, I had to leave the site for a couple of months to go and work at another site, and all the parents were requesting, "Where is she? What's going on? What happened?" And when I got back, it was so heartwarming to hear them say, "Well, we really missed you. I really like having you here. I really want my child to be around you." And those kind of words really resonate in my spirit, because it says to me that I'm doing something that is right, that I'm making that connection with the families, and that is what I intend to do. That is my intention. I want to be intentional with that, absolutely. I guess the last one would be understanding, having the using the content knowledge, and using and making that curriculum be meaningful. We just went through a federal review, and recently we've switched over to Creative Curriculum Gold. And of course, we understand you individualize for each child. You lay out your objectives. You look at the framework, and you put it all together, and you make sure that what you're doing that is a developmentally appropriate practice, that your lesson plan is matching up with what you're doing on the floor, and all that. But creative curriculum also takes it like one step further. It's to just everything that you do is intentional, and to have them have all we had a bunch of what do they call it, coaches and support services that were coming through. And one lady, one thing she asked me was like, well, of course, in the manipulatives area or art area, so many times we'll just have that Play-Doh, and the Play-Doh tools are there, and that's a standard, along with crayons and pencils and so forth. And she was saying, well, why is the Play-Doh out there? If you're talking about recycling, what is it that you did that makes that Play-Doh be the recycling thing that you need to have on your shelf? And then the whole time after that, then everything that I do now, I'm like, let me help. Let me make that connection. Let me tie that back to my lesson plan. Let me look at it. And now and because they were looking at me, and pushed me to look more at what creative curriculum was saying, looking at those learning cards, not just going over and skimming the mighty minute and doing it to the best of my ability. I mean, whatever I understood. I mean, I tried to really apply what they were doing. And when you really sit down and read it and go through it, you can see the way that they wrote the lesson plans is really a great way, because it starts with the introduction and the foundation and making those connections, even letters that you can send to the families. It even encourages us with different types of things to different types of ways to encourage parents to be a part of the program. Just recently with our lesson plan, we did recycling, and of course that was pretty easy to employ the parents with. But one thing I did challenge them to do was to start their recycling regime at home. Or what are you doing that is helping to reduce at least one thing? Is there something that you're reducing? And when we did that, the parents videotaped it at home, and they asked for some of the scraps and some extra glue and supplies. And we also even had a parent. They brought back artwork from home. One little boy he came up with. She used the orange bag as a net, and some paper and tape, and made him a fish net, and then made him a pretend fish bowl with construction paper and bottles. So it was fabulous, and the little child was so excited, and the parent was really happy to be able to do that. And every day that they walk in, I set it up on the mantle, and I have the little note card by it with the child's name, and what he did and what was his intention and what we were doing. I have the letter up there, so when they came through and they saw that, that was like, the absolute positive child family connection that you could do. And then also that was bringing connecting, doing the homeschool connection with that curriculum. So having a great understanding of how to use what you're working with is extremely important. And I know that now from experience, because like I said, when the reviewers and all of the mentors and coaches were coming through, we were encouraged to take that extra look and make sure that we were being intentional, and make sure you have your information read. So that's me. I'm Vivien Levias, and thank you.